God's holy constellation of beings brought together to shine light. Our only function is to be little light beams, God light beams. Why not? That's a good question Jesus is asking us. Why wouldn't we just, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it. Wasn't that fun? We're gonna sing again, I think. Doesn't that sound good? That was so joyful to have everyone singing. Even though it's delayed, it was hilarious because of the time it takes for the I'm just singing anyway. This is beyond form, this family constellation beyond form. The God constellation of holiness, where we come together in truth as one. With the one who knows, who's guiding so beautifully with every promise he has made. He's fulfilling it in our function together. Like so many beings have said, this is the call of my heart, to be able to hear Jesus with clarity and directness, and then to see where we don't want to hear him at all. In the, it is so much like that, when you're talking on the phone, that little play, and you don't want to talk to someone and you see that, and it's like, boy, I can't hear you. There's static. Yeah, Jesus. Must be the wireless service.
Going through a tunnel.
Going through a tunnel. Excuse me, Jesus, I'm needing to stay in this tunnel of hell for a while, so I'll get back to you. I'll check in with you a little later, and you can see it. Oh, I was talking, and it's in that little video. I'm working on such a reminder about, that Christmas holiday. Jesus, I got the holidays, and I'll get back to you. I'm going to spend a little more time in hell here, and then I'll check in on the prompt with you later. Jesus, there's always tomorrow for another prompt, okay? So, oh my gosh. Peace will be tomorrow. It's so, you start to see that play. We were talking about the paper tigers, folding those little origami thoughts into power. Let's just ask, how powerful are thoughts exactly, Jesus? Why don't you show me how powerful they are? Can thoughts do anything? Like if we really get, I give everything I see, hear, touch, smell, taste, all the meaning it has for me. Like that's like the pointer to where the buck stops. Okay, Jesus, I'll get back to you later on that. Heaven can wait. He's going, why not today? So that's okay, and it's and the beings are expressing that, right? All the loving beings are saying, yeah, thankfully he'll communicate in more than sound and his voice. We see it in pictures, all the symbols come up. everything is a reflection of love. Yet the play of consciousness is to look for hell at every other. Ask Jesus, is that what the play of consciousness is? To try to find proof that hell is true so we can prove to Jesus, we think we can prove to him that he's wrong. I'm going to prove you, so help me, God. Yeah, he's really, he shows you how that anger truly is insisting. I want to insist that you are wrong, God. And I'm right. It's the terrible twos that last until we're 100 years old. The terrible twos. It's a phase. Well, it can be a really long phase unless we look at everything with the light of truth and seeing the play and going, man, when he starts really showing deeply the play of the family constellation, the play of being powerless to thought. Jesus, do I like playing powerless to my thoughts? Like, think of the thought. Can a thought hit you over the head? But it feels like that. Jesus, I'm feeling attack thoughts. I feel like I'm being attacked by thoughts. Because we like being attacked. Ask them, do I like being attacked by thoughts and having thoughts feel more powerful than I am? That's humbling when he says yes. Do I like using thoughts to prove, an attempt to prove I'm powerless? Can thoughts prove I'm powerless? So using thoughts to try and prove we're powerless. Am I fighting you and duking it out with you to try to keep concepts and thoughts in my mind? It's humbling when he says yes. That's the only fight there is. The fight, the war, is to keep the concept of death alive in the mind. To block the light in the recognition that light is here with thoughts and concepts. Ask Jesus. Yeah. Yet who's doing that? Try to find the concept holder honor. the thought builder. Where's that? Is this the desire for dreaming of myself to be other than I am? Do I like those little paper tigers in there, Jesus, and build them and then be afraid of them? And pretend like they're not little paper constructions, just like I did when I was little and had all the little war figures, a little Barbie doll in my hand and had that little, is there any difference actually? Played Barbie and Ken getting together and had a little car, a little Barbie car to put Barbie in. And is consciousness any different from that play right there? Like we think we set our toys aside. We thought, okay, I'm going to give my Barbie doll away. You really think. I think I was probably in my 30s and that Barbie doll was still up in the attic there. No, I can't let my nieces have that, because there was a carefully collected bunch of little pieces of plastic and shoes and clothes and particularly that little Mardi Gras doll dress, queen dress that my neighbor sewed for me. Like, I can't let them touch that for sure. And that's what we're saying to Jesus. Oh, don't touch that. And we thought, oh, okay, I gave the Barbie a doll away. I just let it go out of my mind. And you forget you kept all the other Barbie dolls and the Kens and the and the Shrek overs and to play with them in consciousness. Hot Wheels, little cars. And we still like them. We call it a 40s crisis, but it's kind of an ongoing no to God crisis is really he's having a 40s crisis. No, it's an ongoing denial of God that's the crisis without anything happening. So Jesus, even if I really like these thought constellations the little decorations in my mind, in the mind, because there's no my to have them. Is there anyone in there having them? The little pretend character in there. Is it changing anything? Does the light get changed? It's so good to do that light check. Infinite light. Is infinite light changed? Can we find a way, despite the best efforts? Can the thought of God be changed? Let's see. That's a relief. It can't be. We're really looking at Jesus at Christ's control. Like even the thought of Christ's control, you can feel that tension. See, whenever there's tension, it's a conceptual construct in the mind that we're trying to hold on to as real. Like what it means, like the consciousness goes like this around it and then wants to make it a construct, and that's the tension over it. So it's an idea about what that means, Christ control. It's really good doing a deep look. You can just feel, it's hilarious. One single word, cry, or two words together, they come together and then the whole world is built out of them. That was so helpful that time. I was in Bali and it's good to remember it. And I was passing a bookshelf at this little tiny little kind of resort, slow, beautiful property there. And and I could hear it. Okay, pick the book out off of this shelf. And I reached over to a Ken Follett book. Oh, I haven't seen this Ken. Oh, but can I watch that? Is that spiritual? Look at that book. But Jesus, is that spiritual to read books? I mean, that's where. So he was like blowing that out right there. And I can't remember the name of the book, but I hadn't seen it. And I love Ken Follett and reading books. And so I took out the book. It was just really cool. It was really actually a story about following inner light. Interestingly, see, Jesus had to show me that. And it was about this man in World War II that lived somewhere like in the Netherlands or something, like right across from England. Okay, so somebody from England's going to have to tell me. You might know where that is. And and of course the Nazis are occupying. See, the ego's in occupation. So it was such a great symbol of how he would follow the Holy Spirit and ended up coming to a plane hidden in a barn. So cool. And how just the spirit just he kept following the prompts. I mean, even sneaking in to figure out how the Nazi radar worked. It's very, very cool. Anyway, what was also very helpful about it, I could see, and we're always aware of this when we're reading, but now we can just notice it. Like reading the paper in a sentence and just see how an entire world would bloom out of just that sentence of those words, right? When we're reading a book and there's 3 lines in it, and all of a sudden it blooms, the story blooms in the mind. We go into the story and we're getting pictures of what's happening. It's an outpicturing of what's happening just on a few words. It was such a great demonstration of many things. One, I don't know anything, what's spiritual, showing me that I never reading a novel again, you know, how the Holy Spirit can use everything in purpose, how consciousness works to display from words an entire world. Jesus is telling me, it's not the movies that's the problem. It's like the interpretive function that they're real. It's the use of it to keep death alive in the mind over the light, to obscure infinite. The choice to use thoughts and feelings and emotions as an obscuring mechanism for all the love that's here. Infinite light. You can ask Jesus. So is that how it plays? Like these little thoughts come up, and then I like to hang on to them like glue and take them into Tinker Toys, and then they go into a big picture, and I'm sure the devil's going to get me. I'm being attacked. You can start to notice when the thoughts are, when we look as a light, which we are, to a thought, where is it? What is it? Like, I just realized I never really questioned what a thought was. What's a thought? Is the thought real? Like consciousness is in the play of symbols that just, when the mind drifts, it's just going off and out picturing. And Jesus, do I really love doing that? Not love of God's love, just like it. Relish it. Relish that. Just like reading a book, is that how consciousness plays in everything? And then creates a construction and a story and a meaning, and then all these beliefs coalesce into the stories about my friends and family and surroundings, and God is punishing me, and I am a sinner, and I'm going to be punished for thought creations. And you can see the levels of dreaming, like escapism, even into books. Like take a book, and you ever have that feeling of wanting to escape? I want to read this book and shut the world out through this adventure in this book, or this adventure watching a movie, because I don't want to deal with the world. See, like I want to come home from work and zone out, while at the same time being the miscreator of it. Like I have to escape from this set of thoughts over to that set of thoughts. You see salvation? Oh, he's really showing me how that salvation is desired to have salvation through a thought. So I'm going to exchange this movie for a different movie. I'm going to try and get a better movie or a better book, better set of thoughts in a fantasy in a book, or a better set of thoughts in a fantasy. And the beliefs go where we go. It's a different screen in different pictures. But the subconscious mind, the desire to suppress divinity, is going to follow us where we go. And notice how much the ego wants to change situations, like I was talking about the moves between trying to, quote unquote, the advancement in jobs. Like, okay, so started out in Houston as a salesperson, and I can advance. See, I'm going to advance in my career, and I'm going to fly, and I'm going to move up. Now, Spirit's using all of this, obviously, and can. But it's just, it becomes an idea. I've got to get out of here because I got to advance. Okay, so then you move up to Chicago. And then I'm going to advance again. Now marketing manager, pharmaceutical division. Okay. And a great adventure in Spirit. Use that, you know. But you never get used to the utilization until you really follow the Spirit, because you're always escaping. See, it was purposeful. Sometimes we get booted out. Some beings have noticed this. You get booted out of a job, and that's ourselves booting ourselves out of something we didn't want to leave, like my sister. She was in a job she was not happy in at all. And so she got fired. But it was the best thing. She would say it now. It's the best thing that ever happened. She got fired for something that didn't really happen. Nothing's happening anyway. She got accused of, there was a pill missing in a pharmacy. You know you want to be booted out when that happens, you know, because she was meticulous. And of course that pill was going to miss, and she got tossed out. But you just start to see, okay, then you move to Chicago, you go to Madison, Wisconsin, biotechnology company there. You just, you know, okay, now I'm going to go out to the East Coast in a bigger job like that. And you just finally have to see that corporate climb thing. For me, you know, I had to get really painful to see the death in it, like, because it was all about trying to build a better me, idea, concept, keep the concept alive. But that's the play. And some of us have to take a little longer before we start looking. But then finally we see how painful it is and start looking in and going, okay, this is not working. You start to see I'm taking, even though the body moved from Houston up to Chicago, and then Chicago to Madison, and then Madison to New Jersey, and then to Boston. You know, you can move wherever you want to move. You can change situations, but the beliefs go with you. Hell goes where we go through our desire for it, until that inward turn in willingness to just look directly at them and see they can't exist. Until that person, the collapse of the idea that there's someone that all that's for. And then you see, it's light's been here all along. Light was in Houston, you know, but it's that chase. If I go up to, what's hilarious too, that's another one of those, I'll never do that. When I met someone from Madison, Wisconsin, I said, I will never live there. Guess where Jesus put me? I'll never live there. I'll never live where it's snowy and cold. I think I spent, let's see, yeah, 20 years or something there, never say no. And it's in one of the joyous places that I can say, in terms of, yeah, we're so wrong about everything in the play. Don't know anything. Even going back, I can see it's just helpful. Okay, Jesus, what's your interpretation? Do I need to look at that? No. Because we're here. Love is here. If the story comes up and it can be used in purpose to see what's true, then it's just using purpose. But it's not a trapping mechanism to hold on to the past or try to get safety somehow. But the beliefs go with us wherever we go. And as soon as we realize that, we're going to stay in that lane to look with him and go where he tells us to go, where it's most helpful. And ask him right now, in this moment, Jesus, what's most helpful for me to see? And then we can rest in the comfort of that. And the ego can't get involved in that, which it's going to want to do desperately. And we stay true to divine expression rather than following the no, the hell no. It's a hell no. And you start to see what you're saying no to. It's like with Muji saying, you do not know what you've found. Meaning when you're in satsang and he's saying, drop every idea, every thought, every emotion, every feeling, what's there. Get to know that. That's what we're fighting against. That simplicity. Not wanting to drop every thought, feeling, emotion. To see that what's here is always here before every thought, feeling, and emotion. And then out of that spins the play. The play of the unreal. And until we see how much it's wanted, this is such a gift he's laid here for me. This direct, when he said, I am giving a new means provided by me. It's just like, you have no idea. You can only follow. It's like, holy smokes, it's so direct. It's so fast. And reminding me, I'm in charge of the atonement. I show you the miracles. I show you what's most helpful next. And we can know all this and still, no, I'm okay. And we're in hell. And we don't even see how much hell there is. That's what's amazing about the whole thing. Until he reveals how much hell we're in. I'm perfectly fine. The I has it. It really takes, yes, he's saying it really takes going down with him in the mind to see how much the relishing of hell is in there. The relishing of making little paper tigers into real scary big tigers. And then to go through it till we see that nothing's under it, yet we want something. Like, did I make the whole thing up, Jesus? Yeah. So in the final lesson, this holy instant I would give to you, be you in charge. For I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. (365 days of lessons now. I'll just mention that we started It started last March with so this will continue for at least another 2 months. I don't know after that. We'll just keep going as long as he tells me to sit. And it's honoring God to sit with all of you. And to see the time and space rearrangements and celebrate those together, and celebrating the release from self-bondage, to celebrate the power as infinite beings that we have, to say no to a sense of personal identity. Like, what could be happier together, really? To see that the prison never happened. Could we hope for anything else in our lives in this lifetime than to celebrate together that it can't happen? To discover the love that we are together. I don't know, I can't. That's just honoring God, is what that is. And if I need a word to help me, he will give it to me. And just hear that yes in our hearts, like, let it resound, that we can hear it together, like as one, like that, those mystical birds on Lake Chapala, to like hundreds of thousands of yellow-headed blackbirds. And I've sent that video, I can send it again. It's just mystical when you see it. And they're just weaving and flowing, and they're not having an argument about who's in front, who's behind. It's just like the total movement of the song of God, just moving like this. So we're just moving together in the song of God, in the celebration of what is. It was such a beautiful reflection of that. It's Sahaja, Monty Sahaja. And in the silent retreats with Muji, like they silent and they just move like this, but they're all joined, listening deeply. It's the smoothest retreat you could ever, it's like that. That's how we're moving together. You just, as minds joined and flow, and it's not looking at what I'm doing versus what you're doing. It's God celebrating totality together, like complete openness to each other, because that's what God is to us, complete, utter openness to all that is. Complete open, as he says, the teacher of God. And so that the spaciousness there, I love that with Kelly talking about the way she talks to Jesus, and she's just still for a moment to really listen to him. What a reminder. If we're not at peace, we're not listening, he's saying. We're not listening, so he can give it to us, see? So he can lay the gift that's always giving in our laps. Wow. If I need a thought, that he will give me. And just hear that, like in every cell of, in the joy of it being given. He says, when you hear my voice, that's receiving love. And then you can extend it by speaking it. You can extend it by speaking the words of God through you. That's extension. That's what we're practicing, extension in the joining. He's saying yes. And if I need but stillness and a tranquil, open mind, these are the gifts I'll receive of him. Infinity. He is in charge by my request. That's supreme happiness, him being in charge by our request. To drop the concepts, any concepts, Jesus, if there are any concepts left in the mind about Christ control, I give them to you. It was ego, boy, that one word control, but that contraction itself is a concept fighting a concept. Any contraction is a concept of a person fighting a concept of itself. It's little paper tigers fighting each other in there. Ask Jesus. It's the unreal fighting the unreal to try to prove it's real. It's so humbling, this journey. It's happily humbling, though. These are the gifts I will receive of him. He is in charge by my request. Give all the little paper tigers to me. Every concept you hold, to see you're so far beyond concepts. And see the happy laughter in the dropping of the concepts. He's just reminding me about the love and this joining together so we can just laugh at how hilariously impossible it is to be a concept and to paper tiger with concepts. And how it never happened. It can never happen. I think he's reminding me about Papa G's book called Wake Up and Roar. Wake up and extend like there's no world, because there isn't. I love Papa G because he laughs too in satsang. He just laughs. Because you start to laugh because you know it's funny, that play. You don't take the play so seriously. And when you do, it becomes so much more obvious that you're investing in it. He is in charge by my request, and he will hear and answer me because he speaks for God. So when we won't talk to Jesus, do you see how we won't talk to ourselves, the truth of who we are? Can we see that? Yes, it's for me. Symbol of not talking to God, of not being in communion, holy communion with all that is, ourselves. The one, this, not being out of communion with what is right here, right now, the totality of all that's given. Not laughing is a concept fighting another concept, not to ask him, is not laughing a concept, not wanting to laugh? It's wanting to hold on to concepts. It's not to say, well, I don't want to be laughing all the time, ever. It's just the movement of love expressing fully in the recognition of holiness, that it can't be. That the no is impossible to divinity. That the Son of God is holy, whole, and complete. But even consciousness is holy. Ask him. To see that the light holds no grievance against the miscreation of consciousness. The grievance is always held against ourselves for the belief that consciousness will be punished for it, actually. And now it's time for the prodigal son, he says, to see that he's home. He doesn't need to step away from where he is now. He can look now to see that there's only light. That there's only light. There's only sameness with what is, with the Father. There's only light that's of the Father. A light that he can never be apart from. Jesus, can I ever be apart from infinite, unchanging light? He says, you may not believe me, but this is beyond belief. So if we don't believe him, we can forgive that belief. You may not believe you can hear my voice. He says, let me assure you that you can. You can, because it's your voice for God, the voice of who you are speaking. So now we can just say, we can drop every other call but this one. Jesus, can I drop every other call but yours? He says, and you don't need a phone for it either. See that you don't need to have a phone to be in Holy Communion with God. You're in Holy Communion now until you say no that you're not. Is that true, Jesus? Yep. So he's introducing us to infinite telecommunications style. Like Lucy, she's in the car, she's getting the download. No devices needed. Just that open mind to be before thought began, before time began. To see that the unchanging is not changed by time or space nor concepts. Holiness cannot be changed by these things. Thank you, Jesus, for showing me that, and thank you for this constellation of holiness to remind me of holiness. That the new year is being new to God, always ever new to the Father, ever fresh to the Father's love. In eternity, happiness, eternal happiness, even timelessness, timeless happiness is always ours. So rather than a new year, just see it's always new now. Happy new now. Happy unjudged now. Happy holy now. That's what he said. Happy all there is now. Happy celebration now. You can put on your party hat before 12 midnight tonight and celebrate holiness now. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Amen. Willingness, the willingness signal, the love signal, the Joker signal, all the way home. I love you. Love from San Juan Cosola.